Last year, I found myself in downtown Rochester in Western New York, and for lack of purpose to do anything else, I decided to take a tour of the downtown for the first time. Now I find myself in Syracuse, just down the road essentially from Rochester by about an hour and a half, but considering that this is a relatively controversial city, much like Rochester and Buffalo and Albany, which I'll be visiting tomorrow, in relation to former glories that these cities used to have versus today. And also I just wanted to give an impression of what it's like to visit this city for the first time without knowing that much about it, other than obviously it is a massive university town, and I'll try to, if we have time, get over to the stadium on the other side of the downtown core. But for now, join me as I organically, for the first time, it's going to be probably a bit action-packed, let's check out Syracuse and what it's all about for a brief bit this evening. Many of these Western New York State, and I guess we're more close to central New York State here in Syracuse. That is a restaurant I would have liked to have gone to, but unfortunately, in this old church, it's not there anymore. It's getting on to around 8:30, well, as you can see clearly indicated in the large building in the background. This is the downtown town core of East Jefferson Street and Montgomery Street. We'll do a quick little loop around this central area and then perhaps work our way back towards the stadium. One of the reasons I like coming to these cities and exploring them is because the architecture has been underappreciated in the last couple of generations, and it really is fantastic. You have a neo-Gothic church here, which really is doing the part. We're also now headed by the YMCA, so this should be a little bit fun. Kind of see what I mean by like historical feel, as this church rectory, I believe, in the back, it really does have kind of like that European feel and look to it. Episcopal church, not far out from Bruges. Some very brilliantly realized architecture here. It definitely gives me that British feel in certain pockets, reminding me of some of the buildings that we have, say, in our own nation capital, or my personal nation's capital, which is Ottawa. We found a busy restaurant for once. Now we're on the northern section of downtown here. We're going to do a loop around, essentially. This is as far as we're going to come to the downtown on this side. It is a brilliantly realized car. It reminds me of my Thunderbird. It is a reminiscent of my Mustang convertible ride only last week. And you come to these places and you have to beg to wonder, where are the people? It's really sad to see downtowns not vibrant with energy like some places that I know, but the history of this place and its industrialized past is unfortunately long behind it. However, there is a fair ahead of us. So we have arrived at Hanover Square, which has definitely got the places that I'm looking for as far as bars are concerned. Why do you always find these places at the beginning of our journey? I do not know. There's a fountain to my right that's not working, so we'll keep it out of the shot and try to keep the place pretty. But you can hear some live music in the background. This might be the place that I come to end the journey when I come back to my car, as there's a lot of cool pubs all along this strip, all beer focused, and you know we love beer. It appears we found all the bars indeed, and there's certainly something going on over on this side of downtown, so let's go investigate and see what all the fuss is about. I also like these tables. Are a little outside of my price point for dining today, unfortunately, but very nice.
You never realize wait those times when you feel so late night in the penthouse, the cute stairs, the lightning flash, the rise of film and
I don't even know what this festival is. It's just sort of like local vendors and some live music and a pretty big area for drinking on the side. Considering it is a Wednesday night, I've definitely found where the nightlife is here tonight, that's for sure. You even got Molson Canadian on the tables. I don't know what's going on. That's not a good beer at all. Quite surely their war memorial, probably to 1812. Honestly really fascinated by this architecture in these turn-of-the-century American cities, 1900 i.e., because they really did spare no expense in the infrastructure. And if you like that sort of era of architecture and Art Deco and stuff like that, then these are the best cities to come to because they still retain a lot of that energy and that look from back in the day. So definitely worth it. We're gonna head on from the festival here in the background, which we might come back to. We at least know where to come if we're looking for food at the end of our journey. But we're gonna go head back in the direction that we came. We're at Water Street, as you can see, and to the right of us is the actual water itself. I'm not so sure we'll get too close to it in our brief tour, but we'll do our best, taking in as much as we can before the sun goes down here. You can see another example of one of those deco buildings, brilliantly finished in the background here. There's a lot more. That is the Niagara Mohawk building, as I read on the signage. There's a lot more to this city than I originally thought compared to Rochester. A much more vibrant downtown than what I experienced there. Also, it's definitely more put together. This being a university town, there's obviously a lot of there's still a big economy here that you can definitely feel, which definitely wasn't the case, unfortunately, with Rochester. So it's very clean. This is an immaculate city. When we begin our wandering, this is a nice, cool, unique sort of art installation on the river here that we'll definitely check out in a second as we go by. Also, the river is much smaller than I thought. We are now headed into proper downtown Syracuse because every canopy above a doorway in front of me says pub, 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 pub. So we've definitely come to a place where we can eat. I think I found my place. I do love Irish pubs, and this one looks very ornate. Kitty Boyne's. So let's give it a shot. Seems welcoming. Let's go.
Yeah, so the company that own them and it's not going to get on the ESPN, so you're going to sell $5
All done my experience at the pub here. Exceptional, quick, swift service, decent price, $22 for a pint and a shepherd's pie. And we're off back onto the road here downtown Syracuse. I better not dawdle as it's my time to cross. So we're just gonna check out a little bit more of the downtown core. We'll do a little bit of a zigzag down this area of downtown that we haven't actually discovered yet. And then we'll get back to the car, go to the stadium, and then close out the vlog. Yeah, regretfully, there's not much to look at on that side that I was heading to, just past the old armory building from what it looked like and the Museum of Science and Technology as it's known today. It's getting a little dark, thus the amount of people asking for change and stuff is increasing, so we're going to keep things tight. This is also a beautiful looking space. This is a beautiful bar. Oh my God. There's some seriously cool looking bars in this town. I have no idea what this is. Learn about private events. It literally is gildedclub.com. It is just a square. It literally looks like a place that I would love to visit. As you can see, it's cool. All right, enough. We're not invited. Let's move on. Like, I don't go to cities just for bars, but they do provide a distinguishing aspect of how lively the city that you're in is. And there's certainly a couple of them here, which means that I've been misled about Syracuse. There's a lot more going on here on a Wednesday night than one would be led to believe. Being a university town, I guess it's self-evident that they would have some cool establishments, including this gaming bar called 3 Lives. I'll just say this right now. I could come back here already and bring some friends and do a crawl in the city. It kind of makes sense because, yes, I said it's a university town, so they're going to have some cool bars. I didn't think they'd had these many cool bars all fit into these old spaces that have long been dormant from retail, and they've just filled them with very cool kind of old-timey architecture that's been retained. If you can see what I mean on that. So essentially you take a space that looks like that and you turn it into a bar. And there's a lot of them open, I will give it that. So, you know, it's not perfect, but that was definitely a very cool area. And if I was cooler and had people here with me, I would definitely go back there and give a couple of those bars a try because they all looked amazing. This city is a bit bigger than I anticipated. Therefore, I don't feel that we're doing entirely a good amount of justice to what this city is about. But we've covered most of the downtown core and we're headed back to the car. I would like to show you one final thing for what this city is mainly known for before we head out of town. I should say, however, that I'm not as impressed with the modern architecture in this city as I was with Rochester. That might be because I need to go on the other side and say this little section here where there's a star on top of a building all lit up. So we're gonna go check that out. I keep finding cool things that I unfortunately didn't take video of, but we do have this nice cool outdoor fireplace next to the Syracuse Marriott. We have arrived at the Clock Tower building. I guess it's known as the Madison Street Tower 1. Kind of reminds me of the Chase Bank area. Rochester is not exactly the same city, so I don't know why I keep bringing it up, but this will be, or is, a bit reminiscent of where I'll be tomorrow, which is in downtown Albany at the Empire State Center, as I believe it's still called. This isn't as flashy, actually. It just has a cool little light to it. What we do discover here, however, is the Sports Center, which is essentially like their main arena. However, it's older, so I would love to see what the inside of this building is like. For reference point, the Civic Center is to our left. This is still the Sports Arena Hall. It looks ridiculously nice in there. Very Art Deco and classic. It's rare that you get to see major acts in a theater of that sort. I'm sure a commenter will give me a nice comment of some of the shows that they've seen there, because it looks like there's been a lot of legendary ones for this area. As we get closer to the university, which is further beyond us, as you see here, everything starts to open up a bit and get a bit boring, which is why we will now head back in the direction of which we parked the car. And we'll see you outside of the car, different area of Syracuse. See, we have arrived at the, quite honestly, quite large JMA Dome, the Syracuse University sports venue. I don't even know, like, it's so big that I'm like, they must have a football team. Their basketball team is well known. You can even kind of see inside it. You can see the tiered seating on the other side. It's a massive dome. It's crazy to think that they have this here. I will stop to give you a nice shot that we'll end with of the front of this arena slash stadium slash massive dome. Very impressive. Definitely would love to check out a game here at some point because it's quite vast. I'm sure it's a completely different atmosphere during a game day. But it was nice to see because I've always wanted to kind of see it up close. And yeah, like I said, now the only thing to do is to tick the last box, which is to see an event here. Anyhow, that's my brief tour of Syracuse done for this evening. Thank you guys for joining me. It definitely seems like I need to do another part to this tour. It hasn't been the easiest to get out to this town, as it's not necessarily near anything that I generally travel to for the vlog, but I'll do my best to find something close by in the future so that way I can come back and visit, say, Syracuse and maybe Albany once more. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for dropping in.